Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to determine the x-intercept and the y-intercept given an equation, and this is the first part. In this part right here, we're going to focus on polynomial equation in factored form. So this is an example of a polynomial equation in factored form. Now, before we jump into this example right here, we need to remember that an x-intercept is a point where a line or a curve crosses or touches the x-axis. On the other hand, if we say y-intercept, it is a point where a line or a curve crosses or touches the y-axis. So let's take this first example right here. Let's take this first example right here. Determine the x-intercept and the y-intercept, the given equation below. So the equation is y equals 1 over 2x, parentheses, x plus 2, parentheses, x minus 3. To determine the x-intercept, we remember that we are supposed to set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So that we can go ahead and say that we set this equal to 0. So I write 0 on that one, and that is equal to 1/2 x, parentheses, x plus 2, and x minus 3. Again, part of that is to, once we've set up the y equal to 0, we're supposed to solve for x. In order that we can solve for x using this equation that we have right here, we're going to use the zero product property. The zero product property states that if a times b is equal to 0, then a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 0. So in this case right here, so if we have 1/2 x, quantity x plus 2, quantity x minus 3, we can go ahead and set each of these three here to 0, so that we can go ahead and write 1/2 is equal, 1/2 x is equal to 0. The other one would be x plus 2 equals 0. And the other one right here is x minus 3 equals 0. Again, this is the zero product property. So that we can go ahead and solve for x on this by multiplying 2 to both sides. Because again, we are supposed to solve for x. So they multiplied 2 on both sides right here. So we can go ahead and say that the first x-intercept is 0 times 2 is 0. Now, for the second one right here, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides, minus 2, so that we can cross the 2 out. We're left with x is equal to -2. And then the same thing for this. We're adding 3, and then we're adding 3 here, so that we are left with x is equal to 3. So these are the three x-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and put them inside a box. Now, we can also write the x-intercept in coordinate form, since we say our x is 0 and we set up the y equal to 0, so that we can go ahead and say that the first coordinate is actually 0, 0. So again, the x is 0 and the y is 0. For the next one right here, we can go ahead and rewrite this as the x is -2. And then we remember that we let y equal to 0 in this part right here, so that we can go ahead and say, and that is 0 right there. And then for the third x-intercept, that would be 3 for the x. And again, our y was set to 0, so that's 3, 0. So these are the coordinate of the x-intercept. So pretty much there's like 3 x-intercepts here. So in this problem right here, we're supposed to solve for y-intercept as well. In order to determine the y-intercept, we set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So I'm just going to show the work on the side right here. So we're supposed to set all the x's to 0, and we're supposed to solve for y. Again, to solve for the y-intercept, we're going to set this to 0. So that would be y is equal to 1/2 times 0. And then, so that's going to be, I placed the 0 right there for the x. And then we have this quantity here. So we have 0 for x and 0 for x, plus 2 and minus 3, so that we have y is equal to 1/2 times 0 is 0, times 0 plus 2 is 2, and then 0 minus 3 is -3. So we have 0 times 2 times negative 3 is 0. So that we can go ahead and say that this is our y-intercept. So we only have one y-intercept. If we want to change this to coordinate form, that would be our x is 0. We set it up to 0. And so our y is 0 as well. So that we go ahead and say that our y-intercept is actually 0, 0. Now, again, we remember that to find for the x-intercept, we let y equals 0. So that's very important. We need to remember. Now, if we want to solve for the y-intercept, we let x equals 0. So that's for the y-intercept. On the side, we will see the graph of this polynomial function y equals 1/2 x plus 2 and then quantity x minus 3. You can see that the x-intercept, meaning the graph is crossing the x-axis on 0, 0, negative 2, 0, and 3, 0. While on the other hand, it crosses the y-axis on 0, 0. That's it. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!